The 607th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their Pick 8. Sign up today with promo code MMA SGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer of up to $250 in bonus cash. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MMA SGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Build your own betting model using their AI betting engine. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
The Sports Gambling Podcast Network, dedicated to Don't Worry 44, one of our friends on YouTube. Hopefully Don't Worry 44 has subscribed to our channel. And hopefully everyone listening has as well. The numbers are going up, so thank you. Please make sure you smash that subscribe button on YouTube. I'm one of your hosts here, the almighty supreme leader, Jeff Fox. That name shall remain until I am no longer, until I blow my picks. Hopefully that won't happen with starting with this episode. UFC is back. Baby, and we are covering it. We got UFC Denver. They've scraped together a card, kind of a last minute type of thing. But really not too many fights have fallen through. This, I don't know. My co-host and I will talk about this, but I don't know if this was the best put together card to begin with, especially for one that is not in the UFC Apex. But we will be breaking down all the prelim fights today. Only 5 prelim fights, and then tomorrow we got 6 main card fights. So only 11 fight card, and not a heck of a lot of quality or quantity on it. So it is kind of interesting that there, I guess there are, the UFC lives off the UFC name, the 3 letters, not so much the who's on each fight card. So I'm sure Ball Arena in Denver will be packed this coming Saturday regardless. So let's bring in Mike host. We'll get his thoughts on everything. It's Daniel Gummy Vreeland. Hello.
I don't know. I feel like this is like UFC guys ranked between 16 and 25 in their division.
Yeah, which is weird for a card that you expect people to pay for. Attendance.
It's not but but that's like a good fight night card. Like their fight night cards usually. I mean, and you got a former champ in the main event. Yep. You got a very popular fighter opposing her, and then like everybody else could like be ranked if they won 2 in a row, right? Like Ponzinibbio, Salikov, both have been ranked recently. Gian Silva on the way up. Drew Dober's always just about ranked. Bonfim has been close to there. Arosa's been close to there. I mean, high IQ Cody Brundage is number 1 contender. So, and then you got, Van and Johnson both right there. There's tons of, I mean, you got prelim with Jasmine Jasudavicius. You ain't going to get much better than that on a fight night card.
Yeah. How's a wise man told me to judge these cards by the co-main event. Ponzinibbio Salikov. We're excited about that one, are we?
Can I make the co-main event Drew Dober, Gian Silva? Because then this card's a banger.
There's plenty other fights that could be the co-main event over that one. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, interesting choice to say the least.
That one is just like Ponzinibbio main evented a couple of times, so I feel like they can't slide him too far down the card. It almost seems like that move.
Yeah. So we are like I said, today is all about the prelims. Not a heck of a lot of fights. I'm not complaining. 11 fights is fine. 14, 15, it can drag on. So 11 fights is fine. It's not really the UFC way though. And a lot of these, they just added last minute too. So interesting how they planned or didn't plan this one out. But regardless, we're going to win some money on it. Before we dive into the prelims, let me tell you about our friend Munaf. Munaf, the Machine, Manji, and Chris are getting you ready for the NFL season on the Prop Cast. They got episodes dedicated to season-long props and the awards markets. Check out the Propcast podcast. I'm sure they're on YouTube and on the podcaster catcher of your choice. Plus, check out CJ Sullivan and his road to 10 million on Bottom Line Bombs. You tune in wherever you get your podcasts or the SGPN app, and of course on YouTube. Any news to speak of before anything ridiculous happened? I don't think it has. It's been kind of quiet, right?
I mean, it's the world of MMA. It's kind of ridiculous in its own, but maybe this is a good time to remind people that they should subscribe to us on YouTube, because every time I mention it, the subscribers go way up.
Oh, you think it's you? You think me mentioning it like 2 minutes ago isn't enough? It's
probably not. Probably not.
And for news, I don't mean so and so. This fighter says this, and that fighter says that, because
those are my favorite news stories.
I love
Henry Cejudo says
reveals.
This guy
reveals
this person might be the next middleweight contender, and it's like, dude, we can look at the rankings, idiot, and also Henry Cejudo. Why would Henry Cejudo have matchmaking insight?
Yes. Why would Chael Sonnen? Why would John McCarthy? Why would
Chael Sonnen ones are brutal?
Yes, they really are. They really are. All right, UFC Fight Night. Namahu Yunus versus Cortez, a last-minute main event as well. We got a female main event next week too, don't we? For a Fight Night card, I believe. So yeah, which is cool. This is going down, as I said, in Denver, Colorado, July the 13th. That would be Saturday, as per usual. Prelims that we'll be covering today start at 7 p.m. Eastern. Ball Arena, Denver, Colorado, in an octagon, 11 fights, and we're kicking things off with a middleweight fight. Why is this one opening up the card, Gumby? I don't know. It is according to Tapology, it is. So I guess
it is. And I would just say maybe not the best results recently for the one I know you're picking.
Oh, you think I'm still hung up on this guy, are you? You think I still got a thing for him? Let's see. I'm picking. Interesting. Gumby could be tipping his hand as well. It's middleweights we're talking about. Middleweights in question: Josh Fremd and Andre Petroski, a couple Americans, 3 5-minute rounds. I will tell you about this one's pretty much a pick 'em. Who is technically the dog here? That would be Petroski. He is 10-3, 4 knockouts, 4 submissions. He's been knocked out 3 times. 5-2 in the UFC. He's lost 2 straight, both via TKO. 1-1 in the Ultimate Fighter. Was a regional champion. Used to fight at welterweight. Better striking stats, more active landing strikes, and better grappling stats than Fremd. He's outstruck his opponents in the UFC by 0.42 strikes per minute. He's at -105. Fremd is 11-5, 4 knockouts, 4 submissions. Been knocked out twice, submitted once, 2-3 in the UFC. He's won 2 of his last 3. He did get knocked out in his last fight. Has missed weight before. 1-0 in Bellator. 4 inches taller than Petroski, 3 inches reach, 3 years younger. So all that is in his favor. He's outstruck his UFC opponents by 0.3 strikes per minute. He's at -108. Because I'm a gentleman, I always let Gumby go first. So go ahead.
I'm going to go Petroski. I think the difference in the wrestling here is just going to be too much for Josh Fremd. And I know that people are writing off Petroski after that really weird loss to Jacob Malkin, or even the loss to Michel Pereira. But like, first of all, Pereira, an absolute freak, and has looked outstanding at 185 pounds. We're going to see him in a really good fight coming up. I believe he's supposed to be fighting Fluffy Hernandez. I think he's already been fighting really high tier fighters, and the Malkin thing was just an absolute fluke. If he hits that takedown, we could be talking about a brand new fight at that moment. I think his wrestling is way better than Fremd's. I got questions about Fremd's sub defense too. With Petroski being a guy who's gotten some subs on some pretty decent grapplers in his career, right? And then you turn around, and Josh Fremd has been subbed by Trajan Gore, who picked him up by his neck and wheeled him around like it was a dog with a toy. I just think Petroski's going to have so many advantages there. I do worry. I'm going to say, and the line is probably as close as it is, and even Petroski is inched into being a dog. It's probably there because people are worried about Petroski's gas tank at elevation. Fremd obviously being from there is important, and also just Fremd being as much bigger as he is and having probably a mild striking advantage, I think plays into that here. But I still don't think that's enough to get on the Fremd side. I still think you got to stick with Petroski as wrestling and his control.
Yep. Petroski's the pick. Wrestling is the key, as Gumby said. Fremd got taken down 2 out of 3 times by the Night Wolf, Jamie Pickett.
There you go. And I didn't even get a chance to slander Jamie Pickett. You're the one firing the strays this week. I love the theme of this episode already.
You were struggling to find an analogy, and you came up with a dog and a toy. So you had your mind was working in other ways. So that's quite all right. We're both going with Petroski. I don't think we're ever going to quit Petroski, are we?
I mean,
he won us a big bet.
I mean, he won us a couple, right? Because he got us the
Plus 300.
He got us the one on the Nate Diaz guy, right? Who's not with the UFC anymore. And then did he beat somebody else too? Maybe I'm thinking of
so.
I might be thinking of Gerald Mearshart. He also got me a really good one on that Mahmoud Muradov sub. So, but like Petroski's got those kinds of sub skills and those kinds of wrestling skills. He's a Daniel Gracie jiu-jitsu guy, John Marquez guy. Like you got to trust what he can do on the ground. And I think he's probably only getting better on the feet too.
Yep. Yeah. Another, as you're saying, people, the line may be close because people are concerned about Petroski's gas tank. Maybe his chin too, being stopped in 2 straight fights. But
and he got stopped that last one by somebody's hip bone too on a shot. You know, like that. You know, maybe that's. But is Josh Fremd a knockout artist? Like, is Josh Fremd gonna like touch his chin? Like, I mean,
that's what I was gonna say. I don't think we have to be concerned about it in this fight. Hopefully. Obviously, if it becomes an issue in this fight, then we're gonna have to write off Petroski. But I think he's going to come through here, as does Gumby. All right, we're dropping way down at 50 pounds. We're cutting 50 pounds quick. Montel Jackson versus Damon Blackshear at bantamweight. This is one of those last minute fights for both guys, right? They just announced this like a couple weeks ago, I think.
Correct. They just pulled it out of thin air.
Yes. Which, this is. I wonder. Not a heck of a lot of fights have fallen off. I wonder why this is such a short fight card. It really
it was like a 10 fight card or something like that too. And then remember,
I guess we lost 3 fights. Yeah, okay, or 2 fights.
You lost the Chepe fight, and you lost. I mean, that one was originally not even a Chepe fight. That was Danny Gase versus
right. Oh, that one too, right? Yeah,
somebody else. And then Ige stepped up, and Chepe's fights next week now against Damon Jackson, and there's been stuff moved around. It got a little thinned out, and I think it was thin to begin with.
Yeah. All right, this one just was added to make it a little less thing. Blackshear Jackson. Blackshear's da monster. He's 14-6-1, 2 knockouts, 9 submissions, never been finished in a fight. 2-2-1 in the UFC, 2-1 over his last 3, but he did lose his last fight. Was a regional champion, 1-0 in Bellator. He's fight at featherweight, 2 years younger than Jackson, more active landing strikes than him. He's got a positive strike differential of 0.19, and he's at plus 135. Another short odds for us, which is nice. Assuming we're going with the favorite. We'll see. Quick, Montel Jackson. Spelt wrong. Quik. 13-2. 7 knockouts, 1 submission. Never been finished in a fight. 7-2 in the UFC. He's won 4 straight and 7 of 8. Won his last fight via knockout. It was back in April of 2023. Has not lost since July of 2020. Has missed weight before, so keep an eye on that. 1-0 on Contender Series. Used to fight at lightweight and featherweight. 3 inches reach over Blackshear, better striking stats, better grappling stats. He's outstruck his UFC opponents by 1.95 strikes per minute, minus 148. I kind of like overall, not in this fight. I kind of like Damon Blackshear, but I like Montel Jackson more in this fight. Better all around fighter. Obviously, the layoff sometimes is a concern for people. Layoff. I'm checking my layoff stats. Year off, 44%. The fighter when he wins if they've taken a year or more off. So he's got that against him, but I think everything else is coming in his favor. Like I said, more well-rounded, much better on the feet, much more dangerous on the feet. Fought better competition. I don't think Blackshear. I'm pretty sure when I checked, he's never beaten anyone who has won a UFC fight before. I believe all his opponents I think they're 0-1 previously in the UFC for all his wins when I looked this up. So that obviously isn't a good thing for him. But like I said, I do like him as a fighter, but I think Jackson's a better fighter here, and we're probably getting a pretty decent number on him too.
Yeah, I found myself when I was getting ready for this fight card, basically trying to find reasons to pick Damon Blackshear. And when you're doing that, you probably shouldn't do that. And it's again, because like you said, I like him. I think his grappling skills are really good. I do think there's a path for him to do similar to Montel Jackson, what Montel Jackson's last loss was, which I believe you said 2020. That had to have been the Brett Johns loss, correct?
Okay. Keep talking.
I think it was the Brett Johns loss. And in that fight, Brett Johns was just like Rinse and
You're
repeat.
right.
I'm gonna shoot. Yeah, good. I like what I'm right. Like the Garcia one
right.
in the other last episode.
Yeah, some guy named Garcia.
Yeah, no, he just rinsed and repeated takedown attempts. I want to say he had like 7 or 8 takedowns successful in there, and it wasn't with any kind of real control on Montel Jackson, but it was like shoot, force him to get up, shoot, force him to get up, shoot, mat return, all of those types of things over and over again, and it really wore out Montel Jackson. I was trying to convince myself that Blackshear could do that, and I don't think he can do it as well as Brett Johnson. I think the main reason why I don't think he can do it like Brett Johnson is just like Brett Johnson also has like really quick striking, and he's really light on his feet. And I don't think the same thing about Damon Blackshear here. I think he's going to have a lot of trouble with the length that Montel Jackson brings. Montel Jackson brings a lot of length, a lot of reach. He himself, does a really good job of making it hard to get to his legs, or at least he has since that Brett Johns fight. So I think in this fight, Damon Blackshear might want to try to do that type of thing. I don't know that he can do it with any kind of regularity. I'm not sure his cardio will be able to take doing that repeatedly. I think Montel Jackson's going to get to him on the feet. So give me Montel Jackson. Wouldn't be surprised if we got to see the KO prop show up here as well.
Ooh, interesting. I was thinking decision because neither guy has ever been finished, but you're pulling out a knockout.
I mean, Montel Jackson hits really hard, right?
He does.
And you're going to see a big number next. You're going to see a big number next to it. Right now, I'm seeing it. It's plus 300 right now on him by knockout. I think if you can get that kind of number, there's a lot of value on it too.
Yep. Very true. There's also a lot of value at Underdog Fantasy. Pick 8 is now live. You can create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever. The best part, you can win up to 325 times your original amount. You can now use specials and boosts on all flex entries. Gumby, do you have a play for us for Wednesday or Thursday even?
Yeah, Wednesday, I dug into Pete Alonso is higher than on his total bases. I see it at 1.5. I like that one because he's been hot against Patrick Corbin, who he's going to be facing tonight, even if he's not been hot overall, which I think is why you're seeing a lot of people go with the lower than. But I think this is the right guy to get his bat right, and he's got a lot of extra base hits off of Corbin as well. So get in on Pete Alonso, higher than 1.5 total bases.
Beautiful. He's got to get ready for the home run contest, so he's got to start cranking them out. Don't miss your chance on that pick and on pick 8 to try it out before it's gone. So sign up at Underdog Fantasy with our promo code MMA SGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MMA SGPN. And Circus Sports is back with Circus Survivor and Circuit Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. And of course, Circuit contests have no rake. Circuit Millions, you pick 5 NFL teams against the spread each week and compete for $6 million, or you survive the NFL gauntlet to claim the $10 million prize. Sign up in person at Circus Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with football contest proxy.com to save you $50 with promo code SGP. Don't have a trip booked for Las Vegas yet before football. Ultimate Contest Weekend is a great time to go hang out with our bosses, of course, Ryan and Sean. Tell them how great Gumby and Chalks are. And while you're there, enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd through the 24th. And I said my son's birthday is August 25th. His birthday is August 26th because I'm a bad father.
So close.
I realized that after I said it when I was going through putting the ad markers and oh yeah, I said the wrong day. That's the day we went. That's the day he was supposed to be born. He held out for an extra day. So
just one day, my kids held out for 10 and 14 extra days.
Oh, horrible! Yeah, we don't want to get into that. It was nasty. Both children, it was not fun. And I wasn't the one giving birth, and it wasn't fun, even for me. All right. None of these next fighters have given birth yet, but who knows? Maybe someday in the future. It is a women's flyweight bout. Luana Santos, who has a Glamour Shots by Deb photo on her Tapology page. It's really funny. Have you seen her? You seen her photo?
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Against Mariya Agapova. She is back. So we got Brazil versus Agapova. I already forget what country she's from. Kazakhstan. Yeah. All right. We're going to break things down in this fight right here. Agapova, the Demon Slayer, all one word, of course, naturally. She's 10-4, 3 knockouts, 5 submissions. She's been knocked out once, submitted twice, 2-3 in the UFC. She's lost 2 straight and only won 1 of her last 4. We had hopes for her at one point. 2 straight losses have come via submission. She's not fought since September 2022. She had ended up having surgery, right? I remember she was on your podcast before that talking about it was her knee.
Yeah,
right?
She's had some pretty rough luck of injuries and illnesses, and yeah, it's not been great for Mariya Agapova, and I really attribute most of the career downslide to that too.
Yep. So yeah, that was back in December 2022 when she last got beat or last fought. Has not won since October 2021. 2-0 in Invicta, 0-1 in Contender Series. An inch reach over Santos. She has outstruck her UFC opponents by 0.85 strikes per minute, plus 300. No respect. Santos, 7-1, 1 knockout, 3 submissions, never been finished in a fight. 2-0 in the UFC. She's won 4 straight. Has not lost since July 2022. She used to fight at bantamweight, and she missed weight at bantamweight in her last fight. She was
pretty
139
significantly
pounds,
too.
139, I believe she was. Yeah, I think she has some excuse, but we'll see. Yeah, I think she has some kind of illness or health issue, but still, she's got to be 13 pounds lighter for this Friday. So
for a fight in elevation.
Yeah. 2 years younger than Agapova, better striking stats, more active landing strikes. She's outstruck her UFC opponents by 2.57 strikes per minute, minus 350. Are you taking Agapova? You seem to be leaning that way.
Yeah, I am.
Try to sell me on this.
Look, some of it is actually liking Agapova. Like, I think Agapova, and like she's never quite the fighter we need her to be, right? Like, we were both really high on her, particularly after who's the former LFA champion. She like pieced up and then jumped on her back and choked her out. I even remember the card. It was Mackenzie Dern versus Marina Rodriguez. I was watching it at a wedding.
Sabina Mazo?
Yeah, Sabina Mazo, which she beat Sabina Mazo. That was on the Dern Rodriguez.
Your last win. Yeah.
Yeah. And like after she won that, I was like, good God, she's so good, because she let her hands go. She pieced up Mazo, and like in order to piece up Mazo, like that was Mazo's best part of her game. And you can say what you want about Mazo being released by the UFC and never quite making it to her peak either, but like she was a good striker, and to see Agapova be able to piece her up and then also get the grappling going. And then I think the next 2 losses, I think we can write off as them just like putting her up against exceptionally good grapplers, right? Like she fought, who was it? Jillian Robertson, and who was the other one?
Grudge match, Marina Moroz, I believe.
Yeah, Marina Moroz. Yeah. So like, who is, sort of underrated in her wrestling and really fast with her hands too. Luana Santos is kind of like, first of all, she's had kind of an easy track in the UFC. She's fought
Juliana Miller. Come on.
Juliana Miller. Maybe one of the worst signings the UFC has ever had. Definitely the worst tough champ the UFC has ever had. And Stephanie Egger, right? Who she missed weight on and then still kind of like grinded to a boring running out of gas decision at the end. And like she ran out of gas at 35, not at elevation, with somebody like Stephanie Egger. We got Marina Agapova, and obviously, well, I guess we kind of know where she is. I've seen her in a couple of grappling competitions recently, and she didn't look half bad in any of them. But we don't know what her cardio looks like. We don't know what her MMA fighting looks like in the last 2 years. But like, if she shows up the same version of that Sabina Mazo, plus 300, man, I think that's a wild price. So like, part of me is like just believing that Mariya Agapova of the Sabina Mazo fight can come back. And some of me is thinking this is a ridiculous line for somebody like Luana Santos, who, if I'm not mistaken, didn't even have this wide of a line against Juliana Miller, because like, I don't personally think she's
half.
Like
minus 150. Sorry.
Right. She's not out there being a world beater, right? Like she's not out there. It's not like they brought Agapova back and gave her Jasmine Jasudavicius or gave her, somebody like that. They brought her back against somebody who's like missing weight at bantamweight and put him at elevation and hasn't been all that impressive anyway. And then you give me a plus 300 line. I think I got to take a swing on that.
All right. You sold me, Gumby. It's true. I'm not just playing the line. It's also fading Santos a bit. The only reason I wasn't taking Agapova, obviously she looked horrible in her last couple of fights, but she was injured for the last one, and the one before it was probably too much emotion in that fight.
Yeah, and that's been, I will say too, that's the other big downfall of her. Mm-hmm. Like her skill has never really betrayed her. Maybe the Jillian Robertson fight. Her skill has never really betrayed her. You want to go back to that Shanna Dobson fight that she weirdly lost? She just punched herself out. She was beating the hell out of Dobson. She was up big on the scorecards, and then she was just exhausted. So, like, her big downfall has been being overly emotional in fights. And maybe that cost her the Moroz fight too. I think she fights a smarter fight here, having 2 years off and getting herself back to a good spot.
Yep, hopefully. But yeah, as you were saying, Santos doesn't deserve the line this fight for sure. She's minus 150 in both her past 2 fights. So yeah, I think it's worth a swing. Obviously, I'm not going to be shocked if Santos wins, but we're talking plus 300. So why the heck not, Gumby? All right, Gumby and we're locked in a rhythm here with our picks. And speaking of rhythm, if you're betting on player props, then you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm is the go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data into actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter, data-driven decisions. Like other platforms, Rhythm combines advanced predictive analytics with an intuitive user experience, making betting both easy and enjoyable. Rhythm's predictive models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants with over 3 years of data to help drive you to better AI-backed betting decisions, as I butchered the read. Rhythm projections have been red hot for WNBA and golf. They haven't been butchering anything. So claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Reading is not as easy as it seems sometimes, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we got 2 more fights left. Short card. One of them, Gumby just mentioned this lady, would be the Canadian who's, as I get the tab open finally, that lives near me, kind of, Jasmine Jasudavicius, at least in my part of Canada. She is in a flyweight bout, as she normally is, going up against Fatima Kline, another one of our favorites. Jasmine, is she one of our favorites? We kind of like her, right?
I mean,
maybe not our favorite, but she's good.
I've always thought every single one of her fights winds up being fairly entertaining because she's got like a fun mixture of striking and grappling.
Yep. Kline is a Discord type favorite, a Jong and Jong Lee favorite, a Gumby Vreeland favorite. So she is getting in her UFC debut here on short notice. She was supposed to be on Contender Series and she's stepping in here. Who was Jazz supposed to fight originally? Vivian Aharujo.
Oh, so yeah. Big step up for her.
Yeah, it would have been a big step up. But instead, she gets I don't know if this fight is any easier, a undefeated top prospect on short notice. So, all right, let's break it down. And it is pretty much a pick. I'm on the board. Technically, Jasmine Jasudavicius is the dog here. We'll tell you about her first then. She's 10-3. 2 knockouts, 2 submissions, never been finished in a fight. 4-2 in the UFC. She's won 3 of her last 4, including her last fight via submission. Used to fight at bantamweight, 1-0 Contender Series. An inch of height over Kline, minus 105. This line's been bouncing around. Ladies have been going back and forth between underdog and favorite here. Kline, the Archangel, 6-0, 2 knockouts, 1 submission. Short notice UFC debut, as I mentioned. She's got multiple regional championships on her
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Get sticky with it. Well, some of those sticky people are sneaking through. One of them said something funny the other day in Discord too. It wasn't sticky. It was something like that. I can't remember what it was though. I'll remember at some point. Anyhow, get our shirts, people. Kline used to fight at strawweight, 4-0 in Invicta, 11 years younger than Jasudavicius, minus 110. I'm going with my countrywoman, Jasmine Jasudavicius, not just because she's Canadian. I fade Canadians plenty here. She's just a dog in the fight. Very hard person to fight. Very hard person to finish. Got to be a very hard person to fight on short notice in your UFC debut at elevation too. Jasmine has a gas tank, really dictates the fight. Kline, obviously a super prospect, still very young. I worry about the size here for her. Former bantamweight versus a former strawweight. As I said, Jasmine is someone who's going to grind you out as well. Obviously, I'm not going to do a technical breakdown. That's not really my thing. It's more Gumby's thing. I just think Jasmine can win a gritty, dirty fight as she tends to always do. So I'll take her at minus 105 here.
Yeah, I'm going to take Jasmine Jasudavicius too.
Oh, good.
When this posted, Fatima was plus 220, I think, originally. Mm-hmm. And if it was there, I wouldn't be taking Jasmine at negative 250 or whatever it was. Like that's a crazy line. But now that it's come back down to even, I think your first of all, your basic analysis is right. I think she's too big for Kline. Kline has even said on record that she's not staying at flyweight. She's going back to strawweight. Her main training partner is Aaron Blanchfield. They don't want to be in the same division together. They want to train and rule the two divisions separately. So she's heading back down to strawweight after this fight anyway. So it's not even like she's like the right level of bulk to be here. Now she's beating people in CFFC at flyweight, but that's like, you know, the regional, especially CFFC, like not a ton of women's fighters signed to that organization anyway. So it's not like she's out there, you know, she beat Kuziontina, but I think even that one was down at strawweight. So like, you know, I like Kline. I think she's got a huge ceiling, but I think the size is going to be a big issue for her here. The size was a big issue for Miranda Maverick in fighting Jasudavicius, right? Like she had a tough time with the size of her, both in the takedowns and in the striking. And look, the bottom line is Kline, the best part of her game is her jiu-jitsu is insane. She's one of the best you're going to find in the women's divisions in terms of like pure sport jiu-jitsu. Like she is going to be just about as good as she got. She won an Eddie Bravo Invitational. Like she is super good on the mats. With that being said, like her striking is just coming around. She's just learning the fine pieces of the striking game. And as she's learning those, she's going to step in there with a very long flyweight, right? Jasmine Jasudavicius lives behind those really long arms. And if you do get in on the clinch and stuff like that, is she going to take Jasmine down? I don't know. I think any of the jiu-jitsu she's going to have to do here is going to be off of her back. And, you know, I just don't like her chances in that style of a fight with Jasudavicius. And if Jasmine decides to keep this on the feet, man, I really don't like her chances there either. So, you know, short notice. Don't like the weight class. Don't like that this is at elevation. Don't like that she's mostly going to have to do stuff on the bottom. Man, I think you're getting a good price with all the money coming in on Kline.
Yeah. And Jasmine's someone who knows how to use her size. So that basically is right up her alley. She will be trying to bully Kline around here. So still interested in see what Kline can do going forward in the UFC. And obviously she's born in 2000, Gumby. Even make you feel old. This was a good move for her rather than go on Contender Series. Obviously, she's
the girl she was going to fight on Contender Series. She was going to wipe though, so it was just a cheaper first fight is all.
Yes, yeah. So she's getting paid more, and she doesn't have to worry about the whims of Dana White. Dana might have something stuck in his craw that night, Gumby, and not give anyone contracts. So this is a good move, even if it's perhaps not going to end with her hand being raised. All right. As I ramble on, let's get to our main event. This should be a fun one, possibly a fight in the night type thing, if they are willing to give it to a flyweight fight. So we're sticking with flyweights, going to men's side, though. Joshua Van versus Charles Johnson. Joshua Van from Myanmar, who has a very good flag, versus boring old American Charles Johnson. He's not boring. Being from America is boring. He is the NRG. Of course, INNERG, the best nickname in the business. He's 15-6, 5 knockouts, 4 submissions. He's never been finished in a fight. 4-4 in the UFC. He's won 2 straight fights. Before that, he lost 3 straight. Was the LFA champion. Used to fight at bantamweight, 4 inches height, 5 inches reach over Van. He's outstruck his UFC opponents by 1.32 strikes per minute. He went 1-3-1 as a pro boxer, plus 180. Joshua, the fearless Van, or the fearless Joshua Van. That sounds better. He's 10-1, 6 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's been submitted 1 time. 3-0 in the UFC. He's won 8 straight fights. Won his last one via TKO. He's not lost since December 2021. Was a regional champion, 10 years younger than Johnson. Better striking stats, twice more active landing strikes, and better grappling stats than Johnson. So everything is in his favor there. He's outstruck his UFC opponents by 3.31 strikes per minute, which is impressive. And when you hit like he hits too, that's going to win you some fights. 3 straight, as a matter of fact, in the UFC. Minus 200. Go ahead, finish this off.
Joshua Van. Dude,
love the guy.
Not only do I love the guy, this is another fight that came together short notice, right? Like this is a fight that just got thrown on the card like 2 weeks ago when they realized we can't have an 8-fight card. And not that Charles Johnson doesn't have good cardio. I love Charles Johnson too. I think I've picked against him in wrong moments many times in my life. You know, I respect Charles Johnson. I just think, what is the one thing that Joshua Van does better than every fighter that he is fighting is he just outpaces them. He puts a pace on him that nobody can keep up with. He's tired out fighters that I have lauded for their cardio. You know, right? He fought when was it Kevin Borjas? He fought who I was
I
like,
think so.
Kevin Borjas has got insane cardio. No way Joshua Van can put that pace on him for 15 minutes. Guess what? He can. He's insane with the pace that he puts on people. And then the best part about it is not only is he throwing an insane amount of strikes per minute to wear people down, but he lands to the body with such frequency. You know, the way that he cuts angles to work the ribs, to work the side, like he does so much damage to the body that even if this wasn't at elevation, being on 2 weeks notice and the amount of body shots that Charles Johnson was going to take, I would already be worried about what he's going to look like in the second half of the second round. I would already be worried about what's going to go down there with Charles Johnson. I think Van is going to put an insane pace on this fight. I think it is going to catapult him into stardom here. And I think Charles Johnson is going to have the worst time keeping up with it.
Yep, Van, pace and power pretty much is the key for him. Obviously, a lot of fighters have the pace and the speed at flyweight, but he's got the power.
And it's from that youth too. Like he's so young, right? He's a 2000s baby as well, right?
Yeah. 2001, even younger than the young shit. Yeah, wild. Yeah, he's headlining the prelim pushing here. I could see him headlining a fight night card main event. You know, maybe not end of the year, but by next year, he's.
I mean, if he went out there and he like knocked out Charles Johnson with like a spectacular combination or something, yeah. I mean, I could see you bumping him up to try to fight somebody decent as a headliner. I could totally see it.
Yep, he's that type of fighter. So hopefully he has another winning performance for us on Saturday. So Gumby and I agreed across the board because Gumby talked me into Agapova. Because everything he said made sense here. All right, we got Van, we got Jasudavicius. I'm surprised by that one. I was thinking he might have gone Kline. Agapova. Did I skip one? No, Jackson and Petroski. So some good lines, some dogs. Well, we gave it all to you. Some jokes, some laughs. We laughed, we cried. We had a great time, and we learned lots, of course. And now we're going to beat you for a while because tomorrow we got 6 more fights breakdown plus all our fantasy plays. In the meantime, we shall be in the Discord at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. The argument over Drew Dober and
Gian Silva
has quieted down, but I'm sure it will pick up as we get closer to that fight. But if you're that type of nerd, then that's the place for you, our Discord. YouTube, we obviously make sure you subscribe there. Thank you, everyone who has. The numbers keep going up. We can almost start making the YouTube overlords pay us. So thank you for all the help there. Of course, we are on Twitter as well as SGPN MMA. Gumby runs that. He's at Gumby Vreeland. I'm a Jeff Fox writer there and on Instagram. Get in my Substack. And actually, the stats I've been quoting on these episodes, I'm probably going to release my whole database on my Substack soon. So once I get it in good readable order. So make sure you subscribe there. And at the very least, you can enter my free pick'em contest for the UFC every week. That's moneymma.substack.com. Gummy's got Top Turtle MMA podcast. Just popped into my feed before we recorded here. So I haven't had a chance to listen yet this week, but you're going to tell the people why they should listen this week.
Well, we're talking to Belgian Contender Series prospect Elaine Vandermeert, who's a really good time. And then a little bit later on, we'll be talking to an FAC standout, Gage Young, who is also going to be on Contender Series this fall.
All right, fantastic. So listen to that, obviously. And of course, we're at sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. And we shall be back tomorrow. The monster Jeff Fox, the demon slayer Gumby Vreeland. We shall talk to you then. Bye.